Hello! Happy November 1st. First of all, happy November 1st. Fall, fall weather, fall Thanksgiving, fall colors, fall. Excited to do this. Facebook Live. This is actually a requested one. So I always tell you guys, if you have any topic that you want me to talk about, obviously around what I talk about, please let me know, and I'm more than happy to talk about it and teach, and hopefully you learn and receive the messages that I give to you. So today, I was asked to talk about my own trauma in my relationship and traumas in relationships. And also what I want to go over is trauma bonding with you. That is the lingo. I call it the narcissistic lingo that you hear, trauma bonding. Maybe you've heard of it before. So I want to go over that with you so you know what that means, and you can detect that if that's what's going on in your relationship, or if you see that in other relationships, or you avoid that in future relationships. So I received that message, and I'm going to share with you my own traumatic event that started in 2008. Well, obviously, you know, a lot leads up to when these traumatic events happen. But for me, the big one was 2008. And then again, I had another one in 2011. Yeah, 2011. And then if you follow me, then you know I left in 2011 after that second traumatic event and came here to North Carolina. So I also want to talk about how I healed that shit. So what I'm about to share with you, here's what I want you to know. There was a time when I could not utter even half of a sentence of what I'm about to share with you without doing the ugly cry, right? Because there was such a charge to the story. There was so much pain and hurt and you know, agony and feelings of guilt and shame and feeling like I failed and all of that. So when I share this story with you and you see that I don't get emotional, I don't cry, I don't get mad or anything like that, because I've taken the sting out of this story. And how I've done that is by healing what happened to me. So now I look at the story as just that. It's a story. It's like I'm reading a book, because I'm not that girl anymore. I'm not that person anymore from 2008, 2011. That woman was so trapped in such a disempowering relationship, an abusive relationship. That woman was enabling this toxic behavior. That woman didn't even know what was really going on. It's like I was walking around. I was walking around with my eyes closed. Truly, when I look back, this is what it feels like. I was walking around with my eyes closed, not seeing the truth of anything, and no truth about me, no truth about what I was living in, nothing. So let me ask you, what about you? Are you ready to release the past and live your life the way you want, right? Not the mundane crap that you wake up every day and you deal with. Thank you, Tammy. Not, you know, the one relationship after another. Because here's what we commonly do. We get rid of that guy or that girl, and we point the finger and we go, they treated me like this. They were or are a piece of crap, and I'm done with that person. And then we go out. What do? We go, do, 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 do. Who can I find? Let's see who's next on the list. What happens is we attract the same type of person as before. And what happens further from that is we attract the same types of situations inside the relationship over and over and over again. And it doesn't matter how long your relationship was, 5 years, 10 years, 25 years. This is the pattern. Okay, so how do we break that pattern? Let's fucking break that shit, okay? Because you deserve more. You deserve more out of life. You deserve to feel happiness. You deserve to be treated like a queen or a king. You deserve to be in these healthy, happy relationships. So let's get to it. All right, so the first thing I want to talk about is 2008. The biggest trauma that to this day that I've ever been through. And you know, let me just talk about traumas for a second. Thanks for all the love, ladies. A trauma can be anything to anybody. So it doesn't have to be this giant event that happens in your life. It could be something as little as you're a child. I'm going to give you an example. You're a child and, you know, mom or dad, every, you know, whatever, every weekend or every month, or every time you get a good report card, or every time you're well behaved or whatever, they left you a little gift on your bed as a, you know, I love you, you're such a good kid, or maybe a good report, you know, pat on the back. And one day the gifts stop. That right there can be traumatic, because in a child's mind, what do you think goes through their mind? I'm bad, I'm wrong, what did I do? The gift stopped, mom doesn't love me anymore, dad doesn't love me anymore, right? So my point to this is that there's all these different shapes of trauma that we can experience in life. So right now I'm going to focus on the biggest one that I went through in my entire life, which was in 2008. It was August 24th, 2008. And that day I had told my then husband that I wanted a divorce. Now, everybody knows who's been in a relationship, especially if you're divorced, you know that there's a lot that leads up to saying those words, I want a divorce, or I'm divorcing you, right? There's a lot. And same thing here. There was a lot of things that happened before I said that. And here's another thing. I said this to him so many times before. But on this day, what was the accumulation of everything on August 24th, 2008 was self-medicating. Okay, so when he was self-medicating, and when you know somebody who's self-medicating, or alcohol, or whatever, any kind of an induced chemical crap, it alters who you are. It alters your thinking and your brain and all that. So self-medication was one of them. And it wasn't just one chosen pill. It was a cocktail. I call it a cocktail pills. So that also brought on a lot of stuff. And the fact that we had like a lot of problems from the beginning. Obviously, you can't have a relationship with a narcissist. Newsflash, in case you didn't know. So on this day, I said, that's it. I want a divorce. I'm done. And so that day, my son and I went to Publix, and we were just going to get lunch. And my then husband, you know, after that conversation, he put himself in the bedroom, and he, you know, was pouting. Okay, they pout. And he was by himself, and I knew he had bouts of depression, but again, there's nothing that I can do. I tried and tried and tried. That's up to him to take care of that. So anyway, so my son and I went to Publix to go get lunch. I asked my son, you know, ask your dad if he wants anything. No? Okay, fine. It was just another day. It was just another day. So my 14-year-old daughter was at home that day. And so those two were left at home. My son and I went to Publix to go get lunch, and Publix was literally 5 blocks away, and we drove. So very quick. And to make a very long story short, when I came home and walked into the room, this is all in the book, by the way, the details of it are in the book. When we came home, there was an image of my daughter in, like, it's not a foyer room, but like it's a small house. So the living room, and then there was kind of like a walkway to where the bedrooms were. So that's where they were. His head was on her lap, and she was on the phone with 911, hysterically crying, and there was a trail of blood from where they were to the bedroom. So my brain first went to, after seeing her on the phone, and because she wasn't saying that he shot himself. She was not saying, she was saying my dad was hurt. Or no, she was saying my dad was shot, but she didn't say he shot himself. So my thought went to stabbing. He stabbed himself. So it's amazing how protective your brain is, even through traumatic events. So my brain went to that, which kind of felt better than a gunshot wound. And so I thought, knife, where's the knife? I'm following the trail of blood into the room, and there wasn't any knife, obviously. And so that led to me being really confused and pissed off. As a parent, the last thing you want your children to see, hear, or go through is anything this traumatic. So I was on fire. I was so pissed. So I kept saying, are you crazy? Are you crazy? Are you effing crazy? Are you crazy? Are you effing crazy? And I just remember I repeated that same line over and over and over again. Are you effing crazy? Are you effing crazy? Are you crazy? Are you effing crazy? Because I was like, holy crap. I can't believe my son, our kids are seeing this, he's doing this, and da da da. Okay. So that led to 911, ambulance, the whole shawana shebang bang, everybody showing up, cops drawing their guns because they didn't know if we had been, if this was a home invasion. They didn't know. So they took my then husband away in the ambulance, and that left my children and myself there, and they split us up, okay, in different rooms, and they questioned us. Okay, so let me go back to the room. The room, I remember seeing a trail of blood. I do remember seeing pills, and that was pretty much it. I didn't see a suicide letter. I didn't see that. Later, I come to find out that there was a suicide letter. Okay, so now they split us up, and they're questioning each of us. Obviously, my kids were anxious to get to the hospital, where I was still very, very angry. Very, very angry. Angry, embarrassed, like everybody in the neighborhood now has witnessed this, because like there's so many behaviors that came prior to this. So I'm really, really angry that my kids have seen this, that we're all going through this. I mean, just like, why? The question, why is this happening? Why? I had no intentions of going to the hospital, because now I'm even more so, thanks guys, I'm even more so pissed off and like, I'm done with you. But my kids, right? My kids at the time were 14 and 13. No, 15 and 14. I don't know, somewhere around there. And my heart was breaking for them. My heart was breaking for them. Obviously, they're crying, they're upset, they're confused. Where's dad? I want to go see dad. I want to go see dad. I want to go see dad. Okay. So even though I did not want to go, I bit the bullet, took the kids to the hospital, and we waited for, I don't remember, it was a long time. So before going to the hospital, after they questioned us, one of the police officers handed me a or it's like something about a restraining order. I remember that, like abuse or whatever. And I was like, what is she doing? Like, what is this? I discarded it. So my sister came and took the kids into another room because the officers advised, because they've done this before, that while mom cleans up the bloody mess, that the children should not even be in the house. They advised me for them to not even to be in the house, which I was like, no way am I leaving my kids. Like, no way are we going to be separated right now. I felt like that would be worse. So my sister came over, she put the kids like in the dining room area, and I cleaned up the mess in the bedroom, which was basically bleach and just throwing out the quilt because it was gone. So then we get to the hospital, we're waiting for X amount of hours. I can't even tell you how many hours. I just remember it was a really long time. And the male nurse came out and he says, I'm so sorry, but your husband, he doesn't want to see you guys. Huh? What? My kids were like, what? Our dad doesn't want to see us? No, he doesn't. We asked him, we told him that you were here, and he said no, he didn't want to see you guys. Okay, that's weird. So we leave. Now by this time it's like 10 o'clock at night. Holy crap. You want to talk about an energy sucking day? That day was so, like, when I tell you, I literally felt drained, like just completely drained. So we get in the van and we drive home, or where we stop and got pizza. We drove home and we literally just pull into the driveway. I remember this so vividly. We pull into the driveway, pizza in hand, ready to get out of the van, and I get a phone call from the hospital. I answer it. It's him. And he's crying. Where are you guys? We're home. You didn't want to see us. What? Why would I say that? I didn't say that. So the nurse wasn't lying. That's not what I'm trying to say here. The nurse was not lying. The nurse was telling the truth. What I'm saying is, because of all the self-induced medication, he was all, obviously, even to do this to yourself, you're not all there. He said that out of being all messed up. So we go back to the hospital. And I remember this so vividly. He was on suicide watch. And suicide watch means that you, the patient, the one who's on suicide watch, cannot be alone. I didn't know any of this. I didn't know why there was another person in the room. I had no idea, because I'd never experienced this before. I had no idea. So he can't be left alone. Like, you can't even go to the bathroom. Okay. So that was, so we're there. This is the same day. He's in the hospital bed. And I just remember complete silence. Nobody said anything. I couldn't say anything. My kids didn't know what to say. He didn't say anything. Complete silence. And I remember, even though my kids were right here next to me, and they're 13 or 14 or 14 or 15, I remember seeing the dried up blood in between his fingers. And me being the mama bear that I was, me being, even though they knew what happened, me taking a tissue or whatever I used to clean out in between his fingers the dried up blood. Didn't want them to see that. Didn't want more to be added. So again, this is a very long story, and I would love to share the entire thing with you. It's all in the book. But to wrap it up on this section, that whole thing led to months of even just getting through that. So I won't say there was a recovery at that point, but months of just getting through that, just getting, I don't want to say over, but just getting through that point of our life. Psych wards, doctors, psych doctors, emergency counseling for the kids, counseling for him, a lot of frustration and a lot of, all of that. So it was kind of like it would get better and then it would get better and then it was a very cycling. Okay, so then everything started to calm down. Things did start to get a little bit better. Our marriage was really bad after that. After that, I feel like when he did that, he literally took what was left of his soul was now gone. So I describe him and that period of time as he was a shell of a man. And when you talk about these toxic people, that is truly what they are. But here's the thing, I didn't know that. So prior to all of this happening, I thought he loved me. I thought he loved me. I thought I was in love. So this is where the trauma bonding comes in. Okay. So let me just first explain to you what trauma bonding is. Trauma bonding is it occurs as the result of ongoing cycles of abuse in which the intermittent reinforcement of reward and punishment creates a powerful emotional bond that are resistant to change. Okay, so there's this highs and lows. There's the reward and the punishment, right? And I remember that so well. Okay, so it's characterized by strong emotional ties that develop between two people when one of them is cruel, one of them's really cruel, threatening, or intimidating, right? While other times treating their partner like diamonds, like 24 karat gold. You're the best thing that ever happened. Okay, so I can't get deep into this trauma bonding, but I am going to get deep into it on my webinar that I'm having November 7th, and I'll put the link in here for you to join, and it's Understanding Narcissism. So I am going to go deep into trauma bonding, but step one is love bombing. Love bombing, right? You're the greatest, you're this. I remember him, having cute little names for me, and the sun rose out of my ass, and I was just the best thing since sliced bread, right? And then very slowly it turns into, right, the abuse, the treatment of cruelty, the threatening, the intimidating, a lot of intimidation. So that's a little bit about trauma bonding. So now going through this, and I remember there was times where we would just cry together. We would just lay in bed, and him and I would just cry together because we were just, there's the bond. Like we were holding each other, and I truly felt a bond to him. I remember asking him on several occasions, like, if we ever broke up, what would you do? And what I wanted to hear was, I would fight for you because I love you. But I never got that. So, but anyway, I remember crying together, holding each other, and, just really loving when he was nice to me, when he bought me presents, or when he surprised me with something, which happened often. And I would look forward to those times. This is the trauma bonding, right? Because those were the highs and those were so great, but then the lows were really, really low, right? And like I used to describe him as Dr. Heckle and Mr. Hyde. Like he was one way or the other. You never knew what you were going to get. Like you just never knew. So, all right. So I covered the trauma event and the trauma bonding, and how do you heal from this? Okay, so let's get into that. Because, and I'm going to get deep into it in my webinar on Understanding Narcissism. It's November 7th at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I'm going to dive deep into the warning signs, the various levels of narcissism, the narcissistic traits, the narcissistic lingo, trauma bonding being one of those lingo, love bombing. There's all the, you know, gaslight, smear campaign, discard, all of these words that mean something. So prior to me learning this lingo, I had experienced all of these